Well. Here we are again. I am live. Welcome back to the Facebook channel. My name is Peter Schwartz. I am a peak performance coach. And today on the live, we're going to be talking about fear. And the two ways that people can, hi Kat just popped on. The two ways that people can overcome fear. And there's two pathways to doing that. There's two ways that I've found, in my humble opinion, to overcoming fear. And this is something that I've struggled with. I've really struggled with fear for a long time. And I think if we're being honest, it's part of the human experience, right? We all struggled with fear. Tony Robbins has this great quote that achievers call their fear stress, right? And so stress, worry, anxiety. Hi, Maria. Maria just popped on. Stress, worry, anxiety. These are all different words for fear. And but it's the same part of the nervous system. It's the exact same part of the nervous system that's producing that fear. And I'm intimately familiar with fear and stress and anxiety. And so I do feel particularly qualified to talk about it. And I will tell you the two ways that have been most effective for me in overcoming fear. But first, I'm continuing on with my challenge from Pam Castillo on giving credit where credit is due, but my take on that is really about gratitude. So I'm about to dive into the fear, but real quick, I want to say a huge thank you to my cousins. And so I have this incredible family where I have 9 cousins on my mom's side, and I have I have more than that on my dad's side. But growing up, my cousins were a lot like my brothers and sisters in a way. And so giving credit or gratitude where it's due, I love you guys so much, all of you. And all of the fun times and all of the love and support. You guys have just been amazing, absolutely amazing. And when I think about all the good times that we've had, it's one of the richest experiences of my life are my relationships with my cousins. So thank you so much to all of you. I love you so much. And with that being said, I'm gonna dive into the two ways to overcome fear. The first way that people typically will try to overcome fear, and this is the advice you're gonna get most often from your typical coaching, and it's good advice. I like it, I've followed it. I don't think it's the most effective, but I do think it's important, is to face it, right? We know that when you face your fears, you overcome them. And this is obvious to all of us, but neurologically the way this works is when you take action in spite of your fear, or if you chase it down, right? If you find those things that you're afraid of and you tackle them head on, what you're doing, you're actually not getting rid of the fear, interestingly enough. They've studied this neurologically, where they've hooked people up to things and they measure what happens. And you're not getting rid of the fear neural pathway, you're actually building the courage neural pathway. So in 2019, most of us are not fighting lions and tigers and bears. Most of us are getting stressed out and are experiencing fearful states, particularly in the work that I do with my clients around their business. They experience fear over their finances. They experience fear about prospecting or selling, or fear about doing lives and putting themselves out there. Just all of this uncertainty and pressure can create tremendous amounts of fear in people. And so you'll see the Grant Cardones, you'll see the Tony Robbins, you'll see many of these coaches, and Tom Ferry, a lot of them are teaching you to take action anyway. And it's that kind of thing from the Three Kings, right? There's that great moment where George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg and Ice-T or Ice Cube, I can't remember. Sometimes I get them confused. Ice Cube. They're all about to go into a kind of a hostile territory. And one of the other soldiers that they're with asks, how are you guys not afraid? How come you're not scared of this? How do I become more confident? And George Clooney's character looks at him and says, the way courage works is you do the thing and then you get the courage. So you do the thing and then you get the courage. And that's true. That is absolutely 100% true. But keep in mind, in order for you to have courage, you have to be afraid in the first place. So while I agree that it's incredibly important that you begin to build your courage, it's so important, because whatever happens in life, no matter how confident you get, no matter how competent you get, no matter how skilled you become, there will always be times in life where fear is there. So building that courage muscle by taking that action, by taking those steps, will always serve you. Courage is important. But in my coaching practice, for example, this is not the way that I handle fear. I don't tell them just to do it and get over their fear. I don't tell them to face their fears, because for the most part, we have the luxury in 2019 of misappropriating fear. This nervous system that you have was designed to hunt woolly mammoths, right? We are descendant from a line of savages who could survive in the wild, who could, like, if the lion came in, you could take your spear and you stare down that lion and fight him off. That's where we come from. We have descended from that line. And we have learned to feel fear for picking up the phone and calling on new business. We've learned to feel stress as if the same nervous system, stress is the same part of your nervous system that's activated when your life is in danger. That's what anxiety is. You're going into a fear or a worry pathway, your body thinks it's in danger. And we've learned to reappropriate this in the most abundant time on earth. We've learned to be fearful about acceptance, about other people's opinions, about approval, about whether or not we succeed or fail, not even because we want to succeed or fail for our own benefit, most of us do, but oftentimes people are worried about whether or not they succeed or fail in the eyes of others. They're worried about whether they're going to be good enough. And they let these fears stack and stack and stack and stack, and then it stops them from taking action. So instead of building your courage, which I do recommend that you do, I think that is incredibly important, the other way to get over fear is to reappropriate it in the first place. This is called recognizing that that fear is there to keep you alive, And in coaching, what we do, if you've been watching any of my lives previously, you will see that I've been talking a lot about values elicitations. And a values elicitations allows you to go deeper into, one, what do you want? So what are your dreams, your plans, your visions, your goals for yourself? But two, what are the values that are causing you to have a limitation? Every single one of your fears, every single one of your limitations is driven by a value. So if you can go deeper into that, it might be a need for safety. And when you have that safety, maybe you get to feel peace or you get to feel happy. Or if it's a social fear, like many of my clients don't prospect, or before they meet me, they didn't prospect as much as they should, because there's a fear of rejection. There's a fear of not being accepted, not being loved. And when you can go deeper into what the values are that are causing that fear, what you'll discover is that oftentimes we learn these things when we were very, very young. We were in a classroom and we made a mistake, and then for whatever reason we were embarrassed. And if that happens 2 or 3 times in a row, or for whatever reason the brain selectively focuses on certain events, we learn to be fearful about things that are not scary at all. But the vast majority of people that are walking around are experiencing some level of fear that is preventing them from taking action on your goals. The key insight to realize here is that fear is trying to meet a value. And when you can go deeper into what those values are, discover what that is, one, then align that with the action itself. So if, for example, if you're not making your cold calls and there's a fear of rejection, they call it phone phobia, right? You're afraid to pick up the phone. Definitely been there, by the way. Definitely have struggled with that myself. I've helped many clients through it. Many clients through it. And it can change really fast. Really fast. Because you take those values, for example, I worked with a client who, she was afraid of picking up the phone. She was a real estate agent who was lucky enough to have a certain amount of business because she had a network of people. But she had been in real estate for 10 years and had pretty much avoided picking up the phone and calling and generating new business. And when we sat down, we actually calculated how much money is it costing you to have this fear? How much, and we actually calculated the dollar amount that this fear was costing her. And it came out into the hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. And over the course of her career, millions. It could potentially mean millions of dollars for her, especially if you look out into the future. So we went deeper into the fear. We said, what's important to you? Or what is this fear doing for you? What is it trying to protect you from? And we found out it was attempting poorly, right, to protect her from not being accepted, to protect her from being rejected, to protect her from embarrassment. And we took that and we said, okay, so when you're not embarrassed, what are you? And she says, I get to feel accepted, I get to feel love, I get to feel connection, I get to have fun. And that fear was trying to meet those values of love, connection, fun, acceptance. And in coaching, what you do is you take those and you align it with the activity that used to be fearful for you. And within 1 hour, she was able to change that association completely. And from this point on, and she sent me a message recently, she just automatically is taking those phone calls, and she doesn't have to try, she doesn't have to work herself up to it. It's a place of connection and fun and acceptance and love for her. And when you realize that you can change something that's been bothering you like that for a long time by discovering what the positive intention of that fear is and aligning it with what you want, your life gets so much easier. Where rather, is fear showing up in your life? Where is worry showing up in your life right now? And what would it be like if you could take that and transform it so that your deepest values were aligned by taking those actions? Not only would you not be fearful, not only do you not have to work up the courage or work up the confidence to do it, but you actually enjoy it. You actually enjoy taking those actions. Who would you meet? What would you do? How much more intimacy could you enjoy? How much more could you grow your business? Fear, hesitation, anxiety, worry. Right now, as far as I can tell, these are the biggest dis-eases on the planet for human beings. We don't speak our truth. We don't show up and lead where it counts. We allow politicians, we allow bad leaders, we allow people to act against our values, and we don't speak out against it because of that fear. So I guess my question and my invitation to you is to consider, who would you be if you were not afraid? What would you do? What would you start doing today if for some reason you woke up and that fear was transformed?